Love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and might. Your neighbors yourself. Then there's some assignments that flow from that. Love is one of his guideposts. His priority. He goes a step beyond this issue of same-sex to lust. Wish you could, but couldn't. It's in your heart, not even at the marriage bureau. It's in your heart. But it does not linger there very long. I want to ask y'all a question, because I've lived long enough to go through the sin of same-race marriage. That was illegal when I grew up in South Carolina. The same-race marriage was illegal. Many blacks had to escape north because of that relationship. And many of us, the result of those relationships, which were illegal, that's why our skin colors are what they are, our hair texture, and all that. We're the products of that. Driven by people who preached against it. It was illegal for strong term. It was illegal by day and joy by night. We went through the same race marriage as being illegal culturally, with the same religion marriage, Protestant marriage, Catholic marriage. You were going through that. And now the black church. Shall we imitate the culture's arguments? Or shall we transform the culture and resist occupation? And kind of here's where I join on this. I went to jail July 16, 1960, trying to use a public library. And for these 52 years since that time, my priority has been a little different than arguing about sexuality. I'm not quite there yet, help me. In about 50 days,
bring it home, Mac.
3 Supreme Court justices will determine the next 50 years.
That's right.
In about 60 days. Somebody will appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. In the 46 years of slavery, the war was fought. We won the war on the battlefield, Gettysburg. 1896, the court ruled us back into slavery.
That's right.
And then it sent us back by sex orientation and desire. Put this in, how many of you have a relative in jail? Raise your hand. Have a relative, raise your hand. Have a relative in jail. Hands down. How many of you support Medicare and Medicaid? Raise your hand. How many of you support Social Security? Raise your hand. How many have in your house, you know someone with home foreclosures? Raise your hand. You know someone with home foreclosure? Home foreclosure, raise your hand. You know somebody that has student loan debt? Raise your hand. Credit card debt, raise your hand. You know of voter suppression, raise your hand. You know somebody who needs a job, raise your hand. How many of you have ever been invited to a same-sex marriage? How many of you ever had one in your church? When I went to A&T, that was a sin. Every day we used to have lunch from 4:15 to 6. And everybody could eat, but you couldn't jump line. What I'm struggling for these next 50 days, I don't want anybody to jump line and impose on us their priority. You up front, you get lunch around 5:30, you got to wait in line. We're going to leap past education equality as a priority. First, let me say, I believe we live in our faith, we live under the law. We live in our faith, we live under the law. Whatever one's faith may be, is expression of freedom of religion. But the law protects our rights to be. So I support people's right to marry who they want to marry. I'm struggling with this 50-day window for the next 50 years. This had a big school strike, Bishop, backside in Chicago, and the strike ended 2 days ago. It's back to school. But then back to school means 400,000 kids to 325 counselors. Back to school means 106 schools without a library, 104 of them in the black and brown schools without a library. Back to school means for the black schools no more music. I mean, schools that Sam Cooke and Lou Rawls and Jim Foster came from, take the pianos out. Back to school. So here we are arguing with 3 tiers for the best of them, for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. There's some charter schools, and then the rest of them. Here we are struck with 3-tier schools, first class schools, second class, arguing about who has the right to marry whom. I'm struggling to make the top 10 list. I can't get there. I support the proposition. I cannot put it on the front of the line, particularly whether it's politically, as in my obsession with these next 50 days, Jesus' top 10 list. Put forth 2. And the leap past him back in the Old Testament does not quite answer his question. If this was a priority of Jesus, it'd make his top 3 list. It didn't. My friends, I hope that in these next 60 mindless days, that allows someone to set our agenda and our discussion. Don't you know that in Ohio they purged 1,100,000 felons? In Pennsylvania, 1 million from the rolls. In Florida, 500,000. In a state where Bush lost but won by 512 votes. I mean, don't you know that President Barack, with his intellect and experience, can win the debates and we lose the election? I said something different. So we can win the debates and lose the election. And while we are arguing about our options of Medicare, Medicaid, housing, jobs, and justice, we are arguing about who has the right to engage in a way that you were not invited to. I'll go out to mosque and we're doing what they do. All right with me, it's not invited in the first place. I would urge us in the secular society, there is in the next 2 days a song we should sing, even if you sing it without pianos, called Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. Hold on, hold on. Don't win the same-sex debate and lose the right to a house, health, education, jobs. In these last 4 years, I go on this note because my heart's heavy without being confused yet again. The thing that Mr. Clinton said that made the most sense of his long speech that night was this. And he said it in a way that President Barack could not have said it. He said, no one can say but me how deep the hole was. And President Barack said the hole was 8 feet and it was 16 feet, like he's complaining. He said, I can tell you, it's the deepest hole ever. He said, take my word, it was deeper than any of the economists thought, and the arrow was pointing trajectory downward rapidly, like 4 million jobs in 4 years, like 800,000 jobs a month, like the automotive industry collapsing, 1 of every 10 jobs spent around the automotive industry, like the banking industry collapsing globally, this hole was going down, and he stopped the hemorrhage. I mean, the hemorrhage got stopped. And there was no discussion about what your relation with relative to sexuality. When that hole fell in, it sucked up everything in the hole. Now, so we have 4.6 million versus 4 million. That's a swing of 8.9 million jobs. From where I come from, that marriage. Led by that gender equality for women, with all these single households led by women, that matters. Automotive industry was gone, and now it's number one, working 3 shifts in Ohio and Illinois again, that matters. That there are 7 million more blacks covered with health insurance we didn't have it 4 years ago. For those who don't have health insurance, that matters. 100,000 troops in Iraq, they're home now, that matters. My friends, our choice, as I see it, between now and next is put our focus on equality of the right to a protected vote, and not take this issue and make it a headline. Thank you.